Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater is a throwback to a simpler time in video games, and while some of us enjoy it, it is a completely different type of game than Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, and so for fans of that game, this one might be a little jarring. What's going on, everybody? This is Sergeant Sentinel with another Sergeant Sentinel gaming review video. Today we're discussing Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. But before we continue, I want to say thanks if you're watching this video. I really appreciate it. Hit that like button if you enjoy this video, share this video and my channel on social media so others can enjoy it. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, definitely take this opportunity to do so. I greatly appreciate it. Now, developed and published by Konami, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater is a soft remake / remaster of the 2004 stealth action game Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, and according to its tagline, its premise is Tactical Espionage Action. Metal Gear Solid Delta released for PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series consoles on August 28, 2025. For this review video, I played the Xbox Series X version. So, first things first. Metal Gear Solid Delta is not a full remake. It's essentially Metal Gear Solid Delta released for PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series consoles on August 28, 2025. For this review video, I played the Xbox Series X version. So, first things first. Metal Gear Solid Delta is not a full remake. It's essentially a remaster. Some features are added, like the ability to move the camera's focus, like many current generation third-person games, and the ability to decide whether to prioritize frame rate or performance. Also, if you prefer the legacy camera, you can opt to stick with that. And the facelift of this game is noticeable, but it's not on par with a game like the Resident Evil 2 remake by Capcom. In fact, the corridor stealth is a far cry from the most recent title in the series, Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, but perhaps it's not fair to compare the two games. Metal Gear Solid 3, after all, was a very tightly controlled story, with much of the exposition happening from radio calls with Major Zero, and cutscenes either between different characters in the game or giving exposition through static images that relate to the plot. To keep this remaster as close to the narrative vision of Hideo Kojima as possible, it did not deviate from the level design, and instead followed the exact same locales and beats of the original version. The story's focus is essentially built around stealth, and the ability to swap out camo on the fly is a nice touch, especially since it legitimately helps Snake to blend in with different surroundings, and defeating certain enemies using non-lethal means can actually reward you with new types of camo. This, of course, talking about the different boss fights. So let's get down to brass tacks. How fun is this game, all things considered? And is an experience that so strongly embraces its 2004 origins worth checking out in 2025? That honestly depends on the types of games that you enjoy. Now, this obviously isn't something like Gears of War, where you can leave your brain at the door and run and gun the entire game. You don't even have to pay attention to that plot, and you'll pretty much make it through the entire game, and you'll have no issues. This game is not one of those types of experiences, so if you're expecting a third-person shooter where you run, gun, blow stuff up, and guzzle Mountain Dew the entire time, this game might not be for you. However, if you do enjoy to embrace stealth, then you might want to check out this game. Now, something interesting about that stealth, obviously, is managing yourself and managing your resources. That comes from, obviously, you want to be as healthy as you can to accomplish different objectives, and that includes dealing with injuries that you may have from combat that you encounter. And it's not just you. Later on, you do have to help another character. I'm not going to go into that because it does rival, or it does kind of borderline spoilers. But additionally, you have to make sure that Snake eats. And that could be anything from rats and snakes to noodles and military rations. You have to make sure that you keep his energy level up, because if his energy level is up, of course, it's going to aid in his healing ability. And in a lot of these boss fights, that's going to prove absolutely vital to beat them. But it's not just about the boss fights. Obviously, it is about being able to navigate a lot of these different types of landscapes as quiet as possible and accomplish different objectives along the way, because you're basically trying to take out this entire Cobra Special Forces unit, and you want to do that as quiet as possible because, again, this is not a run and gun game, and if you're running and gunning, you're gonna get messed up, and you're gonna have to be treating your injuries quite frequently. So keeping yourself as low profile as possible is definitely the right way to proceed. And so if those types of games just don't resonate with you, this game probably won't either. Just an FYI. Now, aside from the stealth aspect of the game, because it is a huge portion, essentially this game is balanced between stealthily navigating from point A to point B, to meeting different characters, and of course some of those characters are boss characters, other ones are kind of support characters that will help you get to certain areas on the map that you need to access in order to accomplish your mission. And while their motivations may not always be clear to you in this story, all of these character arcs are pretty much resolved by the end of your journey. And as we've seen from pretty much every video game that Hideo Kojima has put out, outlandish characters and ridiculous storylines are pretty much on brand for him, because he's kind of known for that. But that's a good thing, especially in Metal Gear Solid 3, because yes, it is a little outlandish, it is a little ridiculous, but it does make for a very entertaining experience. Now, that's not saying that it's all sunshine and rainbows, of course. So much of Metal Gear Solid is very tense. It has a lot of suspense. And with the revelation that the Russians are building a nuclear-equipped tank, Snake realizes that the stakes have never been higher, and he absolutely has to shut down this tank. He has to make sure that it's destroyed so it never goes into mass production. And essentially, he is saving the United States from nuclear annihilation by doing so. So, as always, Snake has a tremendous amount of work he has to do. There's so much he has to accomplish in a short amount of time to ensure that the United States does not face nuclear annihilation by destroying this tank. And, of course, by taking down the Cobra Special Forces unit led by the boss. Each of these Cobra members are bosses in their own right. They all have their strengths, but they also have weaknesses, and you have to find out what these weaknesses are and exploit them if you are to defeat or neutralize these Cobra members and essentially work your way through the storyline, eventually accomplishing your ultimate goal. And when you do defeat these bosses, it definitely feels rewarding, because some of them can be tremendously challenging. So the ultimate question that you have right now is, Metal Gear Solid Delta, should I get it? If you enjoy stealth action, if you enjoy boss fights like this, I would say yes. However, if you enjoy mindless running and gunning, this probably is not going to be a game that you're going to enjoy as much. That's just my opinion on it. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I do greatly appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button. If you have something to say, leave it in the comments section below. And as always, if you're not subscribed to my channel, do it right now. This is SSG, aka Sergeant Sentinel. Thanks so much. Take it easy, gamers.